Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. Okay, so for this video today, we are going to do a little bit of revision for AA025, starting from topic 5 until topic 11. Okay, my main target is actually for my students A07, A08, A17, A18, and A19. Okay, so it's a very simple class with me just using the Microsoft Words application. Okay, because that's the easiest for me and the fastest way for me to reach out to my students. Okay, hopefully this video will be a big help to my student especially, and hopefully to those who are watching. Okay, maybe you can take one or two points and pointers given in this video for the purpose of revision. Okay, and hopefully we'll benefit the ilmu together. Okay, even though I am doing the teaching, I am still learning. So we'll go through the points and pointers later together. Okay, so now I am going to share to you the Words, Microsoft Words file. Okay, it's a very simple one. All right, so we are going to start with topic 7, which is job order costing. Okay, so most of the students are having difficulties, especially when it comes to answering the questions in the examinations, because they do not know how to start off and what are the informations related to the questions that must be picked out and to be used during the answers, during answering the questions. Okay, so saya bagi sedikit pointers saja. This is not tips. Ini bukan spot. Okay, I am just trying to help you out. Because this is what I did in class with my students. Okay, all right, so ada a few steps that you need to remember while you're answering question 1. Okay, so question 1 mostly will be from topic 5 and topic 7. Okay, it's a combination between these two topics because in topic 5 we are introduced with the method to calculate our POR. So we are going to implement the calculations of POR in topic 7 in order to get the total cost for job order costing. Okay, so there are a few steps that you need to really understand in topic 7. Okay, the first thing that you need to do in topic 7, in question 1 for your Pspm. Okay, my classes will be campur-campur lah, in PM and in English. All right. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know is apa yang kita nak kena cari dalam soalan. Okay, so the first thing yang kita kena cari is actually the POR. Okay, you need to determine the POR. All right. Okay, so how do we determine the POR? So normally the items is given in the questions. Okay, so sama ada POR telah dikira, okay, ataupun POR tu telah diberi dalam bentuk estimation of your MOH and the basis given. Okay, so you are to calculate the POR on your own. Okay, tapi sekiranya POR tu telah diberi, so you are going to use the POR to calculate your applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, so as you all know, your POR kita ada 5 basis yang berbeza. Okay, we have 2 basis using cost, which is direct material cost and direct labor cost, and we have 2 basis using hours, which is machine hours, okay, direct labor hours, and one yang ni special dia seorang saja, which is production unit ataupun units of activity. Okay, so the basis that is using cost, which is direct material and direct labor cost, you must remember the POR, when it is calculated, the answer should be in percentage form. Okay, so bila kita bahagikan the estimation MOH with the basis given, you must multiply with 100%. Okay, whereas for the rest of the 3 basis, yang ini jawapan will be in RM per unit. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to know for for question 1. Okay, lepas tu kita nak kena buat apa? Okay, you need to go through the questions, okay, and you need to prepare the job or the cost sheet. Okay, it's a simple one. It's actually a table to calculate total cost for each job. So normally untuk soalan 1, they'll give you more than one job. Okay, so you are required to calculate and to journalize the transaction given in the questions. So the best way to answer the questions in a more proper and systematic way, okay, kita akan buat cost table, okay, so that we can calculate the total job cost, total cost for each job. Okay, so by using the POR calculated in number 1, okay, we are going to calculate the manufacturing overhead in the table in number 2. Right, so we are going to calculate. So based on the calculations for the MOH, we know that we are actually using normal costing. So we are using the actual direct material cost, the actual direct labor cost, and applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, so how do you determine the applied manufacturing overhead? Is by multiplying the POR calculated with the basis, the actual basis given in the questions. Okay, all right. Then you need to total up the applied manufacturing overhead costs, and then you can determine whether you are getting over applied or under applied MOH. Okay, so over applied MOH is when your actual MOH is smaller than your applied MOH and vice versa. Okay, and then most of the question will ask you to prepare a journal based on the question requirement. Okay, so we need to prepare the journal. Either we need to journalize each transaction given in the questions, or certain questions just require you to answer the adjustment part, which is the adjusting entries for the over applied or the under applied MOH. Okay, so we are doing the adjusting entries for the whole year. Okay, so as we've learned that in semester 1, so there will be only one entry needed to do the adjusting entries for your over apply or under apply MOH. But in certain question is a special, a rare case where you need to do the adjusting entries for individual departments or separated departments. Okay, so you need to really read the question carefully, because normally the applied, okay, the over apply or the under apply MOH will be adjusted once. Okay, so you need to combine all the MOH given in the questions to find the over apply or under apply MOH, baru kita boleh buat adjusting entries. Okay, so these are the steps that you need to follow. Okay, so for calculating the cost per job, okay, this is actually the basic requirement in calculating the job cost for the cost per job. Okay, so selalunya, okay, normally in the questions, you are given the direct materials, the direct labor, and the basis used in the questions. We are supposed to calculate the applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, this is only for one job. Okay, sorry, this is only for one job, right? So if you have more than one job, that means you are going to have a table, okay, listing all the jobs that are given in the questions. Okay, so certain questions you are given the beginning work in process inventory. So you need to add up the total inside the table as well to calculate the cost for each job. Okay. And actually, to calculate the cost for each job, you need to have the beginning work in process plus your direct material, direct labor, applied manufacturing overhead, and then we'll minus with the ending work in process. But this is something very rare. Okay, you seldom get this in your questions. Okay, but this is the main requirement to calculate the cost per job. Tapi yang selalu kita jumpa dalam soalan, you are only given the 3 items for your product cost. Tapi kita tahu when we are calculating the product cost, we must include the beginning work in process inventory, and also we must minus the ending work inventory, ending work in process inventory as well. Okay, so ini untuk calculate satu job. Okay, so the one that I list out in the steps here for number 2, we are supposed to prepare the job cost order sheet. Okay, job order cost sheet. Okay, so it's not a full job cost sheet. Okay, sebab job cost sheet kalau you tengok dalam nota, bentuk dia lain. Tapi it's actually a table to calculate the total cost for each job. Okay, so let's see dalam soalan you are given job 101 and 102. That means kita ada 2 job. Okay, you need to do a table. Okay, and you need to total up the items in your table dalam bentuk L terbalik. Okay, dalam bentuk L terbalik maksudnya saya ada total di sebelah kanan to total up each item for my product cost, and saya ada total di sebelah bawah to total up the total cost for each job. So this is very important and easier for you to segregate. Okay, if you were to record the journal entries for each job and for certain requirements in the questions given. Okay, so selalunya dalam table kita akan ada direct material, direct labor, and applied manufacturing overhead. So kita tahu the one in red, which is your applied manufacturing overhead, you are required to find the POR dulu, and then kita akan darab dengan the actual data for the basis. So kalau kata your POR is using direct labor hours, so once you get the amount for your POR, so to get your manufacturing overhead, your applied manufacturing overhead, saya akan multiply POR tadi dengan actual direct labor hours contoh, alright, ataupun whatever basis that is given in the question. So kita akan dapat total cost per job. Okay, so sampai sini, this is actually the total cost for each job, and this is the total for both. Okay, but let's see, we want to find the cost per unit. That means you need to find the units completed. Okay, you need to divide the total cost per job with the units completed in order to get the cost per unit. Tapi selalunya dalam soalan, memang kita akan buat sampai sini saja, which is the total cost per job. That means I will find if there is if there's given in a question, kalau ada beginning work in process, I will add up the item in the table. If the item is not given in the questions, so my table will be DM, direct material, DL, direct labor, and MOH, manufacturing overhead. Okay, even without the applied word in the table, okay, the answer is still correct. Okay, because we are actually calculating the product cost. That means the item is actually manufacturing overhead. But we understand we are using the normal costing. So at this point, kita belum boleh kira actual manufacturing overhead. So the manufacturing overhead that is used in this table for the time being is your applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, so you'll get this total, and this total will be added into the journal entry as required in the question. Okay, all right, so now we go through one example just to have more understanding on the question. All right, okay, so this company is using job order costing. Okay, so the following balances are obtained on 1st October 2015. So kita ada raw materials inventory 8,000, work in process inventory 12,000, and finished goods inventory 15,000. Okay, you must bear in mind these items are all inventory accounts. These are inventories accounts, inventory, ya. Okay, dia bukan account raw material, dia bukan account work in process, dia bukan finished goods inventory, finished good accounts. It is actually inventory account. Tapi inventory dalam bentuk apa? Inventory dalam bentuk raw materials, inventory dalam bentuk WIP, inventory dalam bentuk finished goods. Okay, so that is why bila kita jawab dalam soalan, make sure the ledger name okay, is raw materials inventory, because we are not talking about raw materials here. We are talking about inventory accounts which consist of raw materials. So yang paling penting sebenarnya dalam nama ledger tu is actually inventory. Okay, sebab tu setengah pelajar dapat markah yang kurang sebab dia hanya tulis raw material saja atau work in process. Okay, so benda ni macam alamat lah. Right, ledger is actually a nama khas. It's like an address. If your address is incomplete, so JNT pun tak boleh nak hantar your post laju tu ke mana because your address is not complete. So you need to address the item in the respective houses. So house yang kita bincang dekat sini ialah inventory. Okay, cuma di dalam bentuk raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. Okay, so we look at the information. Okay, maklumat pertama dia bagi tahu raw material is purchased on account. So on account kita faham is your payable accounts. So the amount is 65,000. Okay, so the raw material used in the production process, okay, worth 58,000. Okay, dia bagi tahu raw material used in the production is 58,000, whereas 8,000 is its indirect raw material. So dua-dua sebenarnya from raw materials inventory. It's just that 50,000 is your direct material, which means the item was already allocated in the production from the very beginning. Cuma 8,000 tu dimasukkan kemudian. So bila dia dimasukkan kemudian dalam production, automatically that is your indirect raw materials. Okay, so 50,000 kita akan masuk di awal proses, that will be debited into your work in process, and that 8,000, the balance of it, it's actually in your actual manufacturing overhead calculations. Okay, alright, so labor pun sama, kita ada 75,000, 5,000 ialah indirect. So your salaries payable or your wages payable for the labor is actually 75. Tapi kita kena segregate because the 70,000 is actually for your direct labor and the balance 5,000 is actually for your indirect labor costs. Right? Okay, so number 4, you are given the POR. It's RM7.50 per hour, direct labor hours. So that means this is your basis. Okay, so I will use the RM7.50. Saya akan multiply dengan direct labor hours to get my applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, so a total of 10,000 hours of direct labor are used in the production. Okay, manufacturing overhead amounting to 64,900 are as follows. Okay, so kita kena faham, this is actually to journalize our actual manufacturing overhead. That means at this point, your production has been completed. So you are able to calculate your actual manufacturing overhead. Okay, yang kita catat untuk MOH, because MOH is actually expenses, so it will be debited. So item yang kita akan catat di bawah ni will be on the credit side of your journal. Okay, so kita faham kalau dia di sebelah debit, it will be expenses. Okay, and kita juga faham manufacturing overhead ni kita belanja dulu, baru kita bayar. Okay, so the expenses has been incurred, but the payments hasn't been made. Okay, so kalau kita faham maksud expense recognition, we need to declare the items once the expenses has been incurred. So all these items will be in a payable form. Kecuali kalau dia state dalam expenses tu, kita ada cash. That means the item is being paid already. So kalau dia dah dibayar, kita tak akan credit rental payable. Okay, tapi we understand duit dah keluar. So the cash accounts or the bank accounts will be credited. Okay, so utilities, repair, that is your payable account. Okay, and you can see here you have insurance. So insurance kita kena faham concept like what we learned in semester 1. Insurance is an expense that you need to pay in advance in order to be able to use the benefits. All right. So untuk insurance dia beza sikit. It's not payable. That will be your prepaid insurance. And sama juga dengan depreciation. Kenapa kita tak ada Depreciation payable. Sebab kita faham depreciation is the only expenses that is not being paid at all. So there is no cash flow involved in your depreciation sebab dia adalah satu-satunya belanja yang tak perlu dibayar kan. So bila dia tak perlu dibayar, dia susut sendiri daripada aset, and kita pun faham bila kita belajar semester 1, when you debit depreciation expense, that is on your debit side, the accounts that will be credited is your accumulated depreciation. So all these items down here is actually on the credit side of your journal entry. So kalau untuk depreciation, kita tak akan credit depreciation expense, kita akan credit dia punya catatan bergu lah, which is the accumulated depreciation for factory equipment. Okay, all right, so at the end of the month the job was completed. Okay, so in this question we are only using one job, so it's a bit easy lah. All right, okay, so when the job is completed, that 1,200 of the job are completed and transferred to the finished goods inventory. This is the unit of completed jobs. Okay, so from that 1,200 units, okay, only 700 units have been sold. Okay, so have been sold for the price of 500,000. So kita faham we are using perpetual system. So bila kita catat sales, you need to record 2 pairs of journals. One is catat sales pada harga kos, which includes your COGS, and the second entry will be your actual, your normal sales journals. Okay. All right, so kita akan calculate total cost per unit for the job, and we are supposed to prepare the journal entry. Okay, all right, the first item, the first answer that you are going to give in your question, okay, kita akan kira jumlah kos. So here, as you can see, this is given in the question, which is your beginning work in process inventory. Even though the question gave you the raw materials and the finished goods, I am going to only include beginning WIP. So kalau kata you ada more than one job, that means they will you need to list down everything lah. So maybe this is job 101, 102, and 103, and so on. Okay. So for example, here I am going to use only one job. The question given is only for one job. So kita akan kira untuk satu job sajalah. Okay. Alright, sorry. Okay. So you have your beginning work in process, your direct material, your direct labor. Your POR is already given in the question, RM7.50, and the actual direct labor hours given in the question is 10,000 hours. So your applied manufacturing overhead is 75,000. So the total cost for this job is actually 207,000 ringgit. Okay, so the item that you produce, okay, the units are 1,200 units. So for each unit that is completed, the cost for the unit is actually 172 ringgit and 50 cents. Okay, so how do we do the journals for this transaction? Okay, the best way is actually by following the items given in the question. So kita akan follow maklumat tambahan yang dia beri dalam soalan lah. So normally your journal will start from the maklumat tambahan given in number 1, and then followed by number 2, number 3, and number 4. Is it okay if the journal are all scattered? Actually, if there are no dates given, okay, it's okay to have the journals a bit jumbled up. Tapi that is actually very dangerous for the students. Sebab the best way to do job order costing is actually to follow the flow to record the journals. So that is the best way for you to check kan, whether saya dah journal belum untuk transaction ni, saya dah journal belum untuk transaction ni. So kalau the journals are all jumbled up, you might be missing a few journals related to the transaction given. Okay, so the best way is actually to follow the flow, okay, and to journalize according to the numbers given in the additional information. Okay, apa flow untuk buat journal sebenarnya? Alright. Okay, this is what I did in my own class lah. Kita kena faham journal tu dia start daripada kilang. Okay, so dia start daripada kilang. So dalam kilang, it's actually work in process. So once it is completed, you'll bring the items to your storage. Okay, so your storage ni is actually your finished goods inventory. Okay, and then from your storage, you are going to deliver the item to your customer. Okay, so when you deliver the item to your customer, this will be your COGS. Okay, then you have your sales. This is actually the flow to journalize your item. So kita kena faham bila kita buat the production, and once all the production has been completed, before you send the item from factory to your storage, maksudnya production dah selesai. So bila production dah selesai, I am able to calculate my actual MOH. So maksudnya kalau saya buat journal, I am going to start with debit WIP for the first one. And then I will journalize the actual MOH, the second journal. The third one will be my finished goods inventory, gerak daripada kilang, go to your finished goods inventory, and then it will involve your sales. So dia gerak dari storage, pergi ke customer, that will be your debit COGS. And after that, you're going to have another sales journal, which is your debit, it's either cash, bank, or your accounts receivable, and you credit your sales. So once you completed all this flow, the final part of your journal will be your adjusting entries. Okay, you need to declare whether you are getting over applied or under applied MOH. So if you understand this flow, it's very easy for you to journalize the transaction. Okay, the first item kita tengok dalam soalan tadi, saya tak start terus dari kilang ya, sebab saya tak ada bahan mentah tersebut. So I bought the raw materials inventory. So the first journal will be debit raw materials inventory. The amount is 65,000, and I will credit accounts payable because it is stated in the question, it is on accounts. Okay, so kita berhutang kan, credit terms, so you'll credit your accounts payable. Kalau dia kata you buy in cash or using check, the payment is made by check, so kita akan credit either cash or bank. Okay, subject to the requirement in the questions. Okay, so ini dekat sini, I'm here. So this is done. So the second thing that I need to journalize ialah apa yang berlaku dekat kilang here. So yang itu kita bawa semua production cost into the factory. So I will debit work in process inventory sebab dia masuk dalam kilang. And inventory is an asset. So asset bertambah, kita akan debit work in process inventory. So apa yang masuk dekat work in process tu ada 3 item, which is your product cost or your manufacturing cost. So you have your raw materials inventory, salaries payable, or some question will be using wages payable, and then your manufacturing overhead. Manufacturing overhead is the ledger's name, yeah? So you don't have to write there applied manufacturing overhead atau actual manufacturing overhead, no need. Okay, you just write there as manufacturing overhead. So how do I get these figures from? Okay, these figures is taken from here. So this is your direct material, this is your direct labor, and this is your manufacturing overhead. Okay, kenapa 12,000 ni tak masuk dalam journal? Because this is beginning work in process, which is the amount taken from previous month. So maksudnya semasa previous month, the item is already journalized, dah dijournalkan. So kita faham journal adalah untuk catatan urus niaga semasa saja. So yang saya akan masukkan hanyalah transaction semasa, which is your direct material, current direct labor, and current manufacturing overhead. Okay, so all this, the total is 195. So I am not going to use 207, not this item, sebab yang ni termasuk beginning WIP. So this one you need to be very careful, especially when you are preparing the table. Sebab kalau kita ada beginning work in process, make sure when you transfer to WIP, you will exclude the amount from your beginning work in process. Okay, alright, so macam saya cakap tadi, bila kita dah hantar ke kilang, bila siap nanti kita akan hantar ke storage. But in between, saya dah boleh kira actual MOH. So actual MOH is taken from the question from here, number 5. Okay, so from number 5 here, that means saya akan debit manufacturing overhead. Okay, let's say you don't know the amount yet. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to list down all the items in your actual manufacturing overhead. So I have here cash. Okay, yang dalam bracket tadi cash, utilities payable, insurance is prepaid insurance, repair payable, and accumulated depreciation. And here, I also include your indirect material and indirect labor given in maklumat 2 and maklumat 3. All right, so you can do this separately. That means kita asingkan indirect labor and indirect material in one journal. Tapi actually that item can be included in one journal, tak ada masalah. Okay, tapi you must remember, dalam soalan dia bagi sebagai indirect labor, but when you transfer the item into the journal, there is no such item as indirect labor atau indirect material. So your indirect material is actually raw materials inventory. Dia datang daripada rumah yang sama. Cuma keadaan dia bila dia dimasukkan dalam production yang menentukan whether dia direct atau indirect material. So same thing goes to your salaries payable as well. Okay, so dua ni akan dicampurkan sekali. So that is why you have your manufacturing overhead with a total of 77,900. Okay, so here as you can see, okay, all right. I have 77,900. This is my actual manufacturing overhead. And I have 75,000. This is my applied MOH. So dekat sini saja saya dah boleh tentukan sama ada saya ada over applied MOH atau under applied. Because from the beginning, I only applied 75,000. Whereas actually the actual MOH ialah 77,900. So that means this is under applied. So you need to add up later, okay, to adjust the amount. Okay, so that will be 2,900 ringgit worth of under applied manufacturing overhead. So it's under applied, that means you need to add up to your COGS. Kita akan debit COGS and credit your manufacturing overhead. Okay, so these items are your actual manufacturing overhead. Okay, selepas tu daripada kilang tadi dah siap, kita akan bawa pergi storage kan. So dia akan keluar dari kilang. So bila dia keluar dari kilang, kita akan credit work in process inventory. Dia keluar kan. And dia masuk mana? Dia masuk finished goods inventory. So you akan debit finished goods inventory. So how much yang siap? Dia kata the whole thing. Okay, the whole thing, make sure saya tak ambil 195 ya, sebab 195 is the current cost. Tapi semasa bulan tersebut, to do the production, I am also adding up my beginning work in process, which is that 12,000 ringgit here. Okay, so yang kita buat, jumlah kos yang kita buat dalam proses sepanjang bulan tersebut termasuk 12,000. So bila dia siap semua, that means semua ni akan keluar daripada kilang masuk ke storage. Tapi kenapa masa saya journalkan di nombor 2 tadi, I tak masukkan beginning WIP? Sebab yang ini saya hanya catat cost semasa current cost. The beginning WIP is already journalized from the previous months. Okay, cuma dia belum siap jadi barang. So kita akan campurkan dia bersama-sama dengan current cost. So when it is completed, you akan keluarkan the whole amount in your costing for the month. So that will be 207,000 ringgit. Okay, so this is for 1,200 units. Okay, from this 1,200 units, hanya 700 unit saja yang keluar. Okay, yang dijual. So tadi kita dah kira per unit is 172 ringgit and 50 cents. So bila saya nak jual 700 units sahaja, so I will multiply my 700 with my 172 ringgit 50 cents. So it's my sales, right? So saya akan catat sales 2 kali. Satu dalam bentuk harga cost, which is your COGS, and the second one is with your actual selling price. Okay, so kita nak catat COGS, you akan debit COGS for 700 units, it's 120,750 ringgit. Okay, so benda ni keluar dari mana? Dia keluar dari store. So bila dia keluar dari store, tadi dia masuk store kan, nombor 6 ni, debit finished goods inventory. So bila dia keluar daripada finished goods inventory, kita akan credit finished goods inventory. So the item is 120,750. So ini adalah catatan sales untuk pada nilai cost. Okay, lepas tu kita kena catat sales pada harga customer. Ini harga you, harga kita sebagai pembekal ataupun manufacturer pengeluar. Okay, so the price that you are actually using to sell to your customer will be 500,000. This is the item given in the question. Okay, so dia kata kita jual on accounts, that means kita akan debit accounts receivable, kita akan credit sales 500,000. This is to record your sales. Okay, alright. So kalau kamu tengok soalan betul-betul, dia cuma kata prepare journal entries for transaction above. It's very general, right? Okay, tapi kita faham we are actually doing topic 7. What is topic 7 actually? Topic 7 is actually to adjust your over apply or under apply inventory. Okay, so your actual tadi ialah 77,900. Your applied is 75,000. Okay, all right. So I have my actual MOH. Okay, it's 77,900. My applied MOH is 70. Just now was 75, right? Okay, so 75,000. Okay, so the difference here is 2,900. This is actually under applied. Okay, sebab tadi you masukkan kurang kan? Okay, you masukkan tadi hanya 75, whereas actually the full amount is actually 77,900. So under applied, so bila under applied, kita akan add up to your COGS. So your adjusting entries will be the final journal in your questions. Walaupun soalan tak nyatakan dengan jelas, tapi bila the question is very general, asking you to journalize all the transaction, kita kena faham objektif belajar topik 7 ialah to do the adjusting entries for your apply MOH. So that means my final and last entry for the journal will be my adjusting entries. So saya akan debit, okay, cost of goods sold. All right, the amount is 2,900. Okay, and I will credit, okay, my manufacturing overhead. All right, with the same amount on the credit side, 2,900. Okay, so what are we actually doing in the final journal? We are actually to record, or you can also use to adjust the under applied manufacturing overhead. Okay, so that will sum up all the answers for topic 7. Okay, so sekarang kita akan sambung with topic 8. Okay, so for topic 8, the first thing that you need to calculate is the finish or the completed units. Okay, and then we will need to find the ending work in process unit for each elements. If you are in the first department, you need to find for direct materials and conversion costs. And if you are in the preceding department, that means the departments after the first department, you are going to have 3 elements, which is the transferred in cost, the direct materials, and also the conversion cost. And you need to bear in mind, conversion cost consists of 2 items, which is your manufacturing overhead and also your direct labor. Okay, so after you've calculated the ending WIP units for each elements. Okay, kita akan calculate cost per unit. And then once we already get the value for cost per unit, we are going to use that value to calculate the finish or the completed or the transferred out cost. And then we are going to calculate the ending WIP cost. So you need to get the cost per unit for each elements in order to calculate number 4. Okay, and then after that, if you are required to do any journals, okay, you are going to use the items or use the values in the table or the one that you calculated manually, okay, to prepare the journal entries. Okay, the first thing that you need to know ialah the percentage of completion. Okay, sebab bila kita nak kira ending work in process inventory for each element, okay, so we need to know the percentage of completion for these elements. For direct materials, okay, the way to determine the percentage of completion is slightly different from the conversion cost. Okay, so we need to know when the direct material is added during the production. Okay, so there are 3 stages where direct materials are added during the production. Okay, if the direct material is added during the beginning of the process, so that means the percentage of completion, okay, that will be used to calculate the ending work in process unit is 100%. Okay, but if the direct materials is added at the end of the process, that means the percentage of completion is 0%. And if the direct material is added continuously, that means we need to find in the question itself the level of the production process. So the percentage given in the question will be used to calculate the ending WIP for direct material. So you need to bear in mind this is only subjected for direct materials only. Okay, so the completed percentage for direct material is based on this table. Okay, and secondly, the completed percentage for transferred in. Okay, let's say we are the second department, okay, after the first department. So the percentage, the completed percentage for transferred in is 100%. Okay, kenapa 100%? Sebab transferred in cost, that means the cost ataupun proses untuk buat barang tersebut telah pun selesai sepenuhnya di department sebelumnya before it is transferred to the next department. So if it's not completed, we won't transfer item tu ke department yang seterusnya. So that is why the transfer in cost, okay, the percentage of completion is taken at the value of 100%. And the completed percentage for conversion cost, yang ini the item is the completed percentage is uniformly. Okay, so we are going to use the percentage given in the question because the percentage of completion for conversion cost depends on the level of the production process. Okay, sebab kita ada 2 item yang berbeza dekat situ for your direct material and also, for your direct labor and also for your manufacturing overhead. Okay, so the percentage of completion, if it's given in the question, mostly are used for conversion costs because direct material, they are the additional information given in the question to determine whether the percentage of completion is 100%, 0%, or uniformly with the level of the production process. Okay. Okay, let's look at the steps here. Okay, this is what you need to know before we are able to calculate the items. Okay, sebab kalau kita just hafal the production cost report, okay, if let's say you forgot 1 of 2 items in the table, you're going to be in a very big trouble because you cannot complete the whole table. Okay, so kita kena faham juga apa yang sebenarnya kita kira. Okay, so step 1, you need to calculate the finish or the completed units. Okay, so what is finish and completed units consist of? Okay, so finish units ni, okay, yang kita cari melalui penyediaan the physical units punya table tu, okay, kita akan darab dengan cost per unit. This is your finish units and transferred out cost. Okay, so you nak cari finish units and finish and completed units. Okay, the things that you need to do is actually you need to find the beginning WIP unit. Okay, and you akan tambah dengan unit produce, and kita akan minus dengan ending WIP. So this is actually benda yang kita biasa buat lah dalam statement pun pernah buat. Okay, so nak cari the completed units. Okay, we'll find the beginning WIP unit. Kita akan campur dengan unit produce and we'll minus the ending WIP units. So once you get the finished units or the completed units, so how are you going to calculate your finished units and transferred out costs? Okay, tadi kita kira units, dan bila kita nak kira cost, the one that you've calculated above, kita akan guna dan kita akan darabkan dengan cost per unit yang kita kira dalam table tadi tu, okay, to get the finished units and transferred out costs. Okay, alright. So how do we calculate equivalent unit? Okay, equivalent unit ni kita tahu kita nak guna sebab kita nak kira the cost for each item in the production. Okay, so you've calculated the completed unit in step 1. So this completed unit kita akan tambah dengan ending work in process unit. So you need to find the question, the ending work in process unit. Okay, so kalau you nampak dekat sini, the started unit memang kita tak guna untuk apa-apa pengiraan. The number will be picked and put directly into the table lah. Okay, tapi the ending work in process unit will be used to calculate the equivalent unit. So once you get the ending work in process unit, okay, kita tak letak terus nilai itu ke dalam table ataupun dalam pengiraan kita ya. Kita kena darab dengan the completed percentage. This is what I mentioned earlier. So kalau untuk direct material, you need to see, okay, sometimes it's not given in the question, you need to see when the direct materials are added during the production. So kalau direct materials are added in the beginning of the production, so the completed percentage will be 100%. Kalau towards the end, it will be 0%. Kalau uniformly, that means the percentage is given in the question. So awak cari percentage tersebut dan letak di sini untuk darab dengan ending work in process. So that will be your ending work in process unit for that particular item. Okay, so mungkin tak direct material dengan conversion cost akan ada ending WIP yang berbeza? Yes. Sebab apa? Sebab completed percentage untuk direct materials and conversion cost and also transferred in cost, dia bergantung kepada situasi yang diberi dalam soalan. Okay, so you need to find the completed percentage dulu, baru kita boleh darab atau multiply dengan ending work in process unit. Okay, and then kita akan add up the item with the completed unit that you've calculated in step 1. Okay, so you campur dua item ni, kita akan dapat equivalent unit. Okay, so these two items kita akan kira dalam kita punya physical unit. Next, we are going excuse me. Okay, we are going to calculate the cost per equivalent unit. Okay, so tadi item kita jawapan semua dalam unit. Okay, so kita belum lagi mengira dalam bentuk ringgit Malaysia. Okay, once you moved to step 3, you are going to calculate the cost per equivalent unit. So the equivalent unit yang kita dah kira di step 2, okay, will be used to calculate the cost per equivalent unit in step 3. Okay, so the cost per equivalent unit, okay, how are we going to calculate the cost for equivalent unit? Okay, kita nak kira cost untuk 1 unit direct material, 1 unit conversion cost and 1 unit transferred in cost if there is any. Okay, so nak cari cost per equivalent unit tu, you kena cari semua cost yang berkaitan dengan item tersebut. That means cost itu terdiri daripada 2 item, which is the beginning WIP cost, kita akan cari dalam soalan, and also the current cost. So you can see in the question, sometimes they guna current cost, sometimes they guna cost added during the month, sometimes they guna cost incurred during the month. Okay, so that means the item yang dia bagi tu ialah current cost. So cost semasa, cost sekarang, dan kita akan campurkan dengan baki kos yang ada untuk item tersebut. Kita campur dua tu, and then kita akan bahagi dengan equivalent unit yang kita dapat di step 2. So jumlah kos dua item ni dah campur, you bahagi dengan equivalent unit and you will get the cost per equivalent unit. Okay, so kita akan dapatlah cost untuk satu unit bagi direct materials, cost untuk satu unit bagi conversion cost, and cost untuk satu unit for the transferred in. Okay, and then step 4, kita akan calculate the finished units or the transfer out cost and also the ending work in process cost. So dua ni akan menggunakan nilai yang dikira di step 3. Okay, so you already get the cost per unit for direct materials, for conversion cost. So untuk transferred in, that means it's a combination between direct materials and conversion cost. So jadi dalam mengira the transferred out cost or the completed or the finished units cost, okay, kita akan ambil the finished units yang ini dikira di step 1 tadi, okay, unit yang telah siap. Okay, you akan darab dengan cost per unit. Cost per unit tadi yang kita dapat di step 3. So you dah dapat direct material, kita akan campur dengan conversion cost. Jumlah tu tadi kita akan darab dengan finished units. So you will get the finish and transfer out cost. Okay, and then untuk kira ending WIP, it will be calculated separately. Kita akan kira asing. Sebab untuk ending WIP, kita tak guna unit finish atau completed unit, kita guna ending WIP. So ending WIP ni ambil dekat mana? Ending WIP ni is actually what you've calculated in step 2. So item yang you dapat dekat step 2 tadi ni, okay, you kira equivalent unit kan? Dalam equivalent unit ni, kalau you perasan, okay, di tepi tu, you ada ending work in process, darab completed percentage. Okay, this item here, alright, yang kita akan guna di bawah untuk kira ending work in process unit. So your ending WIP tadi yang you darab dengan percentage of completion, kita akan darab based on the respective items. So kalau saya nak kira untuk direct materials, I akan ambil cost per unit for direct materials. So saya darab dengan the ending WIP unit tadi. Kalau saya nak kira conversion cost, I'll take the amount for the conversion cost, the value for the conversion cost, and I will multiply with the ending units WIP yang saya dah kira tadi. Okay, so ini basically the asas lah yang kita kena faham before we do the table. Okay, so we look at example. Okay, all right. So in this example, you are given two departments, processing and packaging. Okay, so you nampak dekat sini we have beginning work in process. So beginning work in process, you akan abaikan the percentage given in the questions because this will not be used during your calculations. Okay, untuk beginning work in process, kita cuma akan ambil the units sahaja. Alright, because unit ni dia akan jadi unit started lah atau beginning unit. Alright. Okay, and then kita tengok dekat bawah terus. Okay, here you are given the cost. So this is the beginning cost ataupun dia punya baki BF, right? BF balance. Okay, so you have for direct materials, okay, and then you have for your conversion cost. All right, so this one will be added when you calculate when you are calculating the equivalent cost per unit. All right, okay, so and then kita ada unit started, alright? So atas ni tadi you have your beginning work in process, beginning WIP, and this is your unit started. Okay, two different things, sorry. Okay, and then kita ada ending work in process. Okay, this one is very important in your calculations sebab besides looking at the units, you also need to find the percentage of completion. Here is where you get the percentage of completion to calculate the ending work in process for respective items. Okay, so ending work in process unit ialah 100%, 1000 unit, 1000 unit. So the percentage given in the question, dia kata 100% completed for materials, that means for direct materials, and 80% completed for conversion costs. Okay, that means untuk ending work in process unit, for direct material, I akan ambil 1000 unit tadi, saya akan darab dengan 100%, that will give me 1000 unit for direct materials. Tetapi untuk conversion cost, it will be a different calculations because kita akan multiply 80% dengan 1000 tadi, bukannya 100%. So this 100% is only subjected for direct materials. Okay, so this is the current cost, right? This is a cost incurred for the current month. Okay, so you can see here there's a note given. Okay, 60% from the conversion cost is direct labor cost. So that means in your CC, okay, 60% is direct labor. Okay, 40% is MOH. Why do you need such information? Sebab ini saya nak segregate the items in my conversion cost in order to be able to do the journal entry. Okay, so kita nak buat cost report dekat sini. Okay, so dalam cost report tu dinyatakan dengan jelas these are the items yang dia nak tengok. Okay, and then you need to show the journal entry for 2015 transaction. Okay, so in this question you have both departments. Okay, so maximum untuk matrix is actually 2 departments only. Okay, we don't go to the extent of having more than 2 departments. Alright. Okay, so ini soalan, ini jawapan yang saya dah sediakan. Alright. Okay. Setengah student dia ada masalah nak ingat table. Actually, it's not that difficult lah. Alright. Okay. This part here. Okay. Saya buat garisan ni. Okay. Yang di sebelah kiri tu is actually your physical unit. Okay. So the first thing that we need to know yang kita kena buat bila kita buat table, you must make sure you have the tajuk lah. You have the title for the question. Okay, and then you will prepare the physical unit. Okay, macam mana nak ingat item yang ada dalam physical unit? Okay, kalau kamu tengok dekat atas tu, you ada units to be accounted and then units accounted for. Okay, dua nilai yang saya bolkan ini, nilai dia mesti sama. Okay, so kalau saya dah kira units to be accounted for, I get the amount of 9,500. That means this same amount, saya akan transfer terus ke bawah ke units accounted for. And this will help me to calculate your transfer out unit. Ataupun sometimes you need to calculate the ending work in process. Okay, depending on the requirement of the questions. Okay, lepas tu, beginning work in process unit ni, kita ambil daripada soalan that 1,500. Okay, and the unit started is also taken from the question. So kita dapat 9,500, tapi dalam soalan, you kena cari unit finish and transfer out. Okay, sebab dia cuma bagi awak ending work in process. So you know the amount for these two items is 9,500. So for the lower part of the physical unit table, kita cuma ada maklumat tentang ending work in process. So the missing part in that item is actually 9,500 minus 1,000. So kita akan dapat the unit finish and transferred out. Alright. Okay. So how do we actually memorize the table? Okay, setengah belajar ada masalah untuk memorize the table. So actually it's very easy. Okay, kalau you tengok dia punya pattern, okay, kita ada beginning. Okay, beginning is the first item. Alright, so dia akan ada berakhir dengan ending. Okay, so beginning work in process is the first item. So the ending in that 4 items yang you kena senaraikan is ending work in process. Okay, lepas tu you ada unit start, unit started, and then di bawah tu you mesti ada unit finish. Nampak ya? Okay, so bahagian atas kita ada that beginning WIP, di bawah sekali before you get the units accounted for is ending. So beginning and ending akan jadi bumbung dengan lantai dia. So perut dia dekat tengah-tengah tu is unit started. Once you started, then you need to finish and complete it. So it will be unit finish. Okay, so boleh tak kalau tak tulis transfer out? Actually it doesn't matter. Unit finish we understand. Kalau dia dah siap dekat satu department, it will be transferred out to the next department. Okay, so this is how you remember the item lah. Okay, so bila kita dah dapat unit finish and transfer out, this amount is 8,500. So you just akan ambil balik amount ini dan pindahkan ke direct material dan juga conversion cost. The same amount without doing any further calculations. Okay, tapi your ending work in process yang kita dapat dari soalan tadi 1,000, that is for the physical flow. Tapi kalau saya nak kira untuk respective items, untuk direct material dan juga untuk conversion cost, alright, I need to multiply 1000 ni dengan percentage of completion. So kalau direct material tadi, percentage of completion dia ialah 100%, so saya akan dapat balik nilai 1000. Tapi kalau conversion cost tadi, my percentage of completion is actually 80% saja. So 80% multiplied by 1000, you get the item, the unit of 800 units. Jadi for conversion cost, the ending work in process unit is 800 only. But you're based on the percentage of completion. So you have 8,500 campur ending WIP for respective item, and you'll get this. This is units accounted for. Okay, units accounted for ni is actually the equivalent unit. Okay, unit ni yang kita akan guna untuk kira cost seunit produk. Okay, so bahagian atas ni terdiri daripada section 1 dan section 2. Semua nilai dekat bahagian 1 dan 2 ni adalah dalam bentuk unit, bukan lagi dalam bentuk RM. Okay, alright. So di bawah tu baru kita akan buat cost report. Okay, so cost report ada dua bahagian. The first part, okay, which is part 3. Alright, kita akan kira cost untuk satu produk. And then part 4, kita akan kira ending ataupun completed unit, completed and transferred out cost atau finish and transferred out cost, dan juga ending work in process cost. Okay, so kita dah ada beginning work in process tadi untuk setiap satu item. You akan tambah dengan current cost. Okay, you get this total. You akan bahagi dengan equivalent unit yang kita dapat dekat atas tadi. So this 9,500, I akan bawa pergi sini. So I get the cost per unit for direct material is RM2.15. And conversion cost pun kita akan buat RM5.10. So untuk siapkan satu produk di department ini, cost untuk barang yang telah siap will be RM7.25. And kita kena jumlahkan di bahagian total. Okay, as you can see, this is actually cost table. So bila kita buat cost table, yang kita jumlahkan ialah yang bahagian cost sahaja. Sebab itu kalau you tengok dekat sini, equivalent unit ni tidak ada sebarang jumlah. Sebab ni ialah unit. Yang kita akan tambah ialah cost sahaja. So cost yang kita tambah ialah beginning work in process, current cost, okay, cost accounted for, and then cost per equivalent unit. Okay, so you can see here equivalent unit ni madam tak jumlahkan sebab ini ialah dalam bentuk unit. Yang kita tambah hanya yang dalam bentuk cost saja, ringgit Malaysia. Okay, alright. So once you have that RM7.25, okay, we are going to use all these three items to calculate the next item below. Okay, untuk kira finish and transferred out cost, you need to find the finish and transferred out unit. So di mana nak cari finish and transferred out unit? This is actually what you've calculated here. So this finish and transferred out unit is 8,500. So kita akan darab dengan RM7.25 yang you dapat dekat sini. Okay. So the item, the finish and transfer out cost for this particular item, for this particular product is 61,625. Okay, and then next we are going to calculate the ending work in process cost. So nak kira ending work in process cost, kita kena guna the ending WIP unit. So 1000 dengan 800 ni is actually taken from here. Okay, I'm going to clear the table for you. Alright. So bila saya nak kira ending work in process cost, I will use 1000 dan 800 di sini. Okay, this one. Okay, kita akan bawa ke bawah lah. Okay, so that's 1000. This is for direct material, kita akan darab dengan RM2.15, and 800 kita akan darab dengan RM5.10. So you'll do the calculations inside. Once you total up the amount, you'll get 6,230, dan only kita akan proceed bawa nilai itu ke tepi. sebab kita akan campurkan dua item ini, okay, untuk dapatkan cost accounted for. So nilai untuk cost accounted for, okay, sekejap ya. Okay, nilai for cost accounted for, kalau you tengok dekat sini, alright, you have 67,855 for cost to be accounted for. Jumlah ini mestilah sama dengan jumlah di bawah. Okay, there are certain questions, jumlah tu akan lari sikit or will be slightly different sebab bila kita kira cost per equivalent unit, you tak dapat nilai yang tepat. Okay, so you need to round up the figures. So bila kita round out the figures in your cost per equivalent unit, you can see your cost for accounted for is slightly different lah. So kita takkan dapat nilai itu sama dengan total dekat cost to be accounted for. Sebab you dah anjakkan sedikit nilai dekat cost per unit tadi. Tapi if you use if you calculated the cost per unit and you get the nilai yang tepat, okay, so there won't be any difference lah between these two. Okay, alright. I'm gonna make the slide a bit smaller. Okay, so kalau dekat sini tadi, okay, once we finish all this, so ada beberapa item yang kita akan pindahkan to the next department. Okay, alright. So now, kalau kita buat the next department, okay, for department 2. Alright. Okay, you can see here you have the started unit in department 2. Okay, so in the started unit di department 2 ni, 8,500 ni, is actually your unit finished and transferred out. So dia dah siap di department 1, dia will be transferred to the next department. So di the second department tu dia akan jadi unit started. So this 8,500 is actually taken from here. Okay, that's the first item. Yang kedua, yang kita kira tadi, finish and transferred out costs, which is 61,625. Nilai ni akan jadi current cost ya, untuk transfer in. Okay, kenapa ada transfer in? Because this is the second department. Besides having direct material and conversion cost, you also have transferred in cost, which is the cost that is taken from the previous department. Okay, so ada dua item daripada the first department will be transferred to the production cost report in the second department. So how you go about with the second department, cara kira sama saja, cuma kita kena pastikan we are no longer having only two items atau two elements in the equivalent unit and also in the costing department. Kita akan ada satu lagi item which is a transfer in. So you need to be very careful with this because bila kita buat untuk the second one, okay, you need to add up another element for the costing. Okay, let's say I'm going to do the journal for department 1. Okay, so journal untuk department 1 depends on the requirement of the question. Okay, let's say I want to record the current cost. Current cost maksudnya the production cost yang kita akan bawa masuk ke dalam kilang untuk diproses. So bila kita bawa masuk di dalam kilang, approach dia sama dengan topik 7. Kita akan debit work in process inventory. Okay, cuma bezanya sebab topik 8 the process berlaku dalam department yang berbeza, so you need to tag the WIP inventory. Kalau dekat topic 7, you don't have any separated departments sebab we calculate the cost based on job untuk satu kerja yang penuh. Okay, tapi for topic 8, we calculate the cost based on the department. All right. So now we are doing for the processing department. So I need to make sure my WIP is tagged together with the name of the department. Okay. So macam mana nak dapatkan nilai 61970 ini? Okay, 61970 ni, you need to go to your table just now. Okay. Nilai tu kita ambil dari current cost. Okay. So this is the item that is taken to be journalized. So 61970 is your WIP inventory for processing department. So apakah item yang akan ada dalam WIP tu? You have your direct material and you have your conversion cost. Tapi conversion cost ni consists of two elements. So saya kena segregate kan. So itu saya guna maklumat yang ada dalam soalan tadi, which is 60% is your direct labor. So kita akan segregate lah. 44,370 saya akan bahagi kepada dua. 60% is direct labor. The balance of it, which is 40%, will be the manufacturing overhead. Okay, all right. So in your processing department, okay, kita ada debit raw materials inventory. This is taken directly from the question, 17,600. Cuma untuk 44,370 ni, saya tak boleh terus salin dan letak dalam journal. Saya kena asingkan dulu 60-40. So this is 60% and this is 40%. Okay, you segregate lah. Alright, item dia sama macam topic 7. So you have your raw materials inventory, salaries payable, and manufacturing overhead. So this is to record the current cost for department 1. Okay, how about the journal to record the transferred out cost? Kalau transferred out cost, kita akan ambil nilai dari table juga. Okay, from the report itself. Okay, so your finish and transferred out cost is 61,625, this item. So nilai ni yang kita akan guna untuk journal. So dia keluar daripada processing department. So kita akan credit work in process, processing department dikeluar kan? Okay, so kita credit nilai dia 61,625. Dia pergi ke mana? Dia pergi ke the second department. So dia masih juga diproses. So dia akan debit work in process as well. It's just that it's a different department. So you need to tag packaging department. The amount is 61,625. So kalau you tengok for the first department, item yang kita akan guna untuk journal hanyalah di 1 dan 2 saja. These two figures will be used in your journals. The rest of the figures won't be used in any of the journals. Okay, so itu untuk department 1 ataupun the processing department. Okay, so let's say dia nak catat record the current cost. Okay, so this is transferred out daripada processing hantar ke packaging. Tapi di packaging dia ada cost dia sendiri. So cost dia sendiri sama juga, kita akan debit work in process inventory, kita akan credit raw materials, kita akan credit salaries payable, kita akan credit manufacturing overhead. So how do I get this figure from? Saya akan pergi ke production cost report untuk the second department tadi. Okay, so kita akan tengok dekat current cost juga. Okay, saya akan ambil 20,400 untuk direct materials dan saya akan ambil 35,200 untuk conversion cost. Yang ini pun kita akan asingkan 60-40. Okay, adakah 61,625 ni will be journalized as a current cost for the second department? No. Yang ini tak masuk ya. Sebab this is transferred from the previous department. That means di previous department, nilai ini telah dijurnalkan. So yang kita perlu jurnalkan yang sekarang saja, which is 20,400 and 35,200. So 20,400 and 35,200, okay, jumlah dia ialah 55,600 sahaja. Okay, so the current cost for direct material is 20,400. Yang ini kita dapat daripada 60-40 tadi. Okay, so this is to record the current cost or the process cost in department 2 atau packaging department. Okay, so you only have 2 departments. So bila dah siap di department 2, barang tu akan keluar, cost tu, untuk produk tu akan keluar. Dia tak ada third department, dia akan terus masuk store lah. So bila dia masuk store, approach dia sama macam topic 7. Okay, dia akan keluar dari kilang. So kita akan credit work in process, tapi we need to remember, okay, this is a second department, right? Okay, so this one will be your packaging department. Okay, sorry. Okay, this one will be your packaging department. Okay, alright. So kita akan debit, kita tak debit WIP ya, kita akan debit finished goods inventory sebab dia akan keluar dari kilang, dia bergerak masuk ke store. So how do I get this 131,175, 131,175? You go to the production cost report. Okay, kita akan ambil benda yang sama macam kita buat dekat the first production report. Kita akan ambil the finish and transferred out cost 131,175. Ambil terus nilai ni. So nilai ni yang dah siap dekat department 2 akan dihantar terus pergi ke store. Okay, so pergi ke storage ya. Alright. So that's why for your finished goods inventory, okay, the item, the amount of it is 131,175. Okay, so this is how you deal, how you go about with the question of with the questions from topic 8. Okay, so question for topic 8 normally will be in the second question. Okay, so kita kena faham topic 8. The first thing that you need to know ialah tengok soalan tu dia minta kamu buat production cost report atau dia minta kamu kira one item. Okay, so kalau soalan tak minta kita sediakan production cost report, you are not supposed to prepare the production cost report. Sebab kalau kita buat juga production cost report, in order to answer the question, we are not actually answering the question based on the requirements. Okay, so sepatutnya markah tak akan diberi. So macam mana nak buat report juga, tapi nak menjawab soalan yang tidak minta kita sediakan report. So you will do a partial table. Okay, partial table means kalau soalan tak minta report, tapi saya tak ingat macam mana cara nak jawab separately one item. I still want to use the report. Boleh ke? Boleh, no problem. Tapi the table should be done partially. Partially maksudnya kalau soalan minta physical unit, your answer okay akan sampai physical unit saja. Sampai sini saja. Kalau soalan minta you kira equivalent unit, baru kita akan buat this part. Okay, alright. Kalau soalan minta kita kira current cost, okay, ataupun dia minta kita kira, normally soalan akan minta kita kira cost per equivalent unit. Kalau soalan minta cost per equivalent unit, that means you need to do this. Okay, ada orang tanya, madam, can I just do the report without the tajuk? Okay, the best thing is actually make it look separated. Okay, make it look separated. That means kalau yang ni awak nampak dia ialah satu table penuh kan. Tapi kalau saya nak asing, that means tak adalah garisan ni. So kita akan nampak lah, this is actually one item, this is actually the second item. So maybe this is question A and this is question B. So this is partial table. This is only for the first part of the answer. And this one will be the second part of the answer. So your table, your production cost report is actually done partially. So dia tak nampak macam production cost report. So you can use that to answer question that does not require you to prepare a production cost report. Okay, kalau soalan tak minta prepare production cost report, please don't answer in a form of production cost report. You might lose marks there. Okay, sebab kita kena faham kita perlu menjawab soalan, bukan muntahkan balik apa yang you hafal semasa you belajar. So when the question asks you to do a question asks you to do a production cost report, baru kita buat production cost report, meaning it's a full table, it's a full report with the tajuk, with the title along. Okay, tapi kalau soalan tak minta kita buat production cost report, make sure if you want to use the report as your answer, make sure it is separated based on the requirement of the question. So kalau kita nak jawab bahagian A, kita akan tunjuk table tapi bahagian A sahaja. Kita nak jawab B, kita akan tunjuk the report tapi di bahagian B yang berkaitan dengan soalan sahaja. So this is teknik menjawab lah, so that you won't lose marks. Okay, unnecessarily losing marks because of your negligence, sebab your ignorance tak faham apa sebenarnya kehendak soalan. Okay.